Hold on tight, because what we have in store for you today is nothing less than legendary. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a beef that's been unfolding for over 2 decades. Let's break it down. That's right, folks. This isn't your average drama. This is the kind of beef that keeps simmering no matter how much time passes. RTM Podcast versus No Behavior, aka North Star, versus Mashtown, aka Tottenham versus Hackney. 20 years of tension. Let's get into it. To understand the present day beef between RTM Podcast and No Behavior, we have to go all the way to the late 90s and early 2000s. Back to a time when the streets of North and East London were buzzing with a rivalry that would lay the foundation that would go on to fuel the legendary RTM versus No Behavior beef we know today. That's right, what seems like a modern day internet rivalry actually has deep roots in a much older feud, one that started on the streets of Tottenham and Hackney. According to Graham McLagan's book, Guns and Gangs, the inside story of the war on our streets, the real tension began when a 16-year-old boy was tragically shot and killed at the Chimes nightclub in Hackney. This tragic event, as detailed in McLagan's account, would soon set off a wave of violence that would shape the next 2 decades of life in these communities. Fast forward just 1 month after that tragic night at Chimes nightclub, the tension between the Tottenham and Hackney crews was already boiling over. 2 prominent figures from Tottenham, Clint Poulton, aka C1, and his close friend Kingsley Iyasara, also known as Popcorn, would find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Clint and Kingsley were approached by a group of Hackney members. They were relentlessly chased through the streets and C1 managed to escape, whereas Kingsley was unfortunately cornered by the attackers and fatally shot. The streets had a way of catching up with those who thought they could escape the past. 2 individuals who were directly involved in the murder of Kingsley Iyasara, Menelik Robinson and Corey Wright, would soon face their own tragic ends. Menelik Robinson, a key figure involved in the murder of Kingsley, was shot and killed in June 2000. He was found in Clapton, East London, a victim of the very violence he had been a part of. But it didn't end there. Corey Wright, the older brother of Marks from No Behavior, who was also involved in the murder of Kingsley Iyasara, met a tragic end. Corey was shot and killed in April 2001, along with Wayne Henry, as they sat in a BMW convertible in Lower Clapton. Their deaths were a direct result of the escalating violence between the rival groups. Now that we've covered the origins of the Tottenham versus Hackney beef, it's time to shift gears and look at how the rivalry evolved into something that would capture the attention of a much wider audience. We're talking about the North Star versus Mashtown era. That's right, while the streets of North and East London had already been marked by violence and tension for years, this new chapter saw the feud spill into the world of music and culture, where these 2 camps, North Star and Mashtown, would start making way. However, the competition between these 2 groups wasn't just artistic, it was deeply personal. The long-standing feud between Hackney and Tottenham spilled over in their music, leading to diss tracks and lyrical battles that mirrored the tensions on the streets. One notable example is the track Clap First by Matown, which served as a direct diss to North Star. Released in 2007, this track highlighted the animosity between 2 collectives, with lyrics that were both confrontational and provocative. In 2007, Young Spray RTM, a prominent figure from North Star, found himself incarcerated in HMP The Mount. While behind bars, Spray caught wind that Hypo, a prominent member of Mashtown, had spread word around the jail that he was actively looking for him. Instead of waiting for something to go down, Young Spray decided the best form of defense was attack. Spray never wanted to back down, gathered some of his allies inside the prison, and set out to find Hypo before Hypo could find him. The search, however, was unsuccessful. It wasn't until an unexpected encounter later that the 2 would finally cross paths. As fate would have it, Spray and Hypo came face to face at the mosque inside the prison. In his Allegedly series, Young Spray recounted the encounter, noting that while they exchanged heated words, the situation didn't escalate beyond a shouting match. This incident underscores how deeply rooted the rivalry between North Star and Mashtown was. Even within the confines of a mosque, the animosity between the 2 groups found a way to surface. Before we dive into the present-day dynamics between RTM and No Behavior, let's take a moment to revisit a more recent chapter, the heated online back and forth between Young Spray and Tricky. Things took a turn when Young Spray went on a rant referring to Tricky as pricky and making it clear that he wasn't holding back. In a heated outburst, Spray challenged Tricky to a fight, saying he would break Tricky's face.
Yeah,
Tricky,
I'll fight you. I'll put my fist. Bouncer, you can line it up, whatever, we get this bag. I'll break your face, yeah? I'll break your face, yeah?
Tricky didn't let that rant slide though. He responded by mocking Spray, calling his actions childish and immature. In his response, Tricky took it a step further, telling Spray to lift up his top and show the camera, a direct reference to Spray's visible stab wound.
Because you see me, you're never gonna see me take my top off and do all of that stupidness. Do you get what I'm saying? No, bro, because it's childish. It's childish, bro.
Taking a jab at Spray's past when the war was intense. Despite one or two personal differences between young Spray and certain figures like Tricky, it seems that the tension between both RTM and No Behaviour seems to have eased, with both sides now capable of recognizing and respecting each other's success.
I actually don't mind Marks.
Why is that?
I don't know, like, I saw his that No Behaviour thing, and like, I think he's alright, like how he presents it and all that. Personally, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really mind it.
In a world where competition runs high, it's refreshing to see these two camps acknowledge one another's achievements. Though the scars of their violent and tragic history will likely never fade, both sides have found a space where they can coexist with mutual respect that transcends the old beef. Now, they might never share the best of relationships, especially with the weight of their past, but they've reached a point where there's enough room for both to thrive in their own lanes. And that's a win for the culture. So even though the tension will always be part of the history between RTM and No Behaviour, the mutual respect between these two heavyweights in the podcasting game serves as proof that even the most heated rivalries can evolve. In the end, it's not about who's on top. It's about respect and pushing the culture forward.